From the end of the 20th century to about 2007, World War II was the most popular setting for shooters. From Medal of Honor to Brothers in Arms and Call of Duty, it seemed to be the perfect spot in time for the genre. But with all these shooters, people unfamiliar with the time period might assume that World War II was all infantry battles, and this is far from the case. Although a large amount of the fighting between the Nazis and the Americans took place on foot in France, the battles in the Pacific against the Japanese were far different. In fact, a large number of these were air and sea battles, and the game I have today attempts to recreate this. This is Battlestations Midway for the Xbox 360. Battlestations Midway is actually kind of like a few different games put together. The modes allow you to control vehicles like battleships, aircraft carriers, planes, and little PT boats on the side of both the Americans and the Japanese. The US campaign begins with a Navy man who's been disappointed in his experience thus far as the Battle of Pearl Harbor breaks out. This section has you moving quickly across the water to take out targets in a few different ways. The way the story was presented reminded me of one of those History Channel games, which isn't a bad thing actually, but it started off a little more personal than I expected. Again, this is not a bad thing, just different.
All my life I wanted to follow my father's footsteps, be a Navy man. Now that I'm here, well, it just ain't what I hoped it would be. Then again, they say be careful what you wish for.
And for those of you who aren't aware, Midway is a very small island in the Pacific that was a target for capture by both the Americans and the Japanese during World War II, much like Iwo Jima. The interesting thing is that the main reason the US fought there was to make sure that the enemy couldn't have the location to use as a spot to launch aircraft from and refuel in an effort to cripple their supplies. This makes it actually a great setting to use for a game based around naval battles and dogfights. Gameplay in this was a little bit hard to get used to for me, but this is mostly due to the fact that the game mimics the feel of sluggishness in the water, as well as the sort of slow time necessary to take out targets. In planes, for instance, you often have to blow something up in a few passes, which is something that helps to keep things challenging. Battleships were my personal favorite, as I loved the mix between AA cannons and other weapons that the vehicles brought, but I wasn't as much of a fan of the subs. Something about them just didn't translate that well to the game, but I'm not sure there's anything the developers really could have done about it. Battlestations Midway is also a very challenging game, and much deeper than you'd expect. From picking orders to tactically choosing which targets need to be taken out first, it's great for fans of this type of gameplay, but the game isn't as accessible as I thought it could have been. I have a feeling that this game will be most appealing to history buffs who may not be normal gamers, and while the complexity of it all may intrigue them, it may also limit their ability to enjoy it. It's an interesting bit of ground that the developers had to tread on. The frame rate in the game can take a dive, though, and this can pull you out of the experience a bit. Although there isn't much here to offer that would be too enjoyable to the core gamer, any fan of World War II history will have a good time with Battlestations Midway as long as you realize what you're getting yourself into. It would be great for this genre to get more support within the mainstream, because with the right budget and development time, it could be really special.